Chapter 16. You really think it should be made of pine logs? Harrison asked. It'll last that way, I told him. Nettie said, but it will take a lot more time to do. We can work harder, I said. We do work hard, Harrison let me know. But this is different, I insisted. It's going to make Father better. You saw how just the talk of the barn helped him. Oh, Ben, Nettie pleaded, don't your eyes ever see what you don't want to see? He's getting down to nothing. No one spoke. Then Harrison said, I suppose we could build another lean-to. That would go up fast. I said, it'll be the same coming down. Ben, Nettie cried in aspiration, you have an answer for everything. I appealed to Harrison. You're the boss builder, I said. What do you think? He said, depends on how big it gets to be and where it is. The following day, the three of us went out to decide where we should build the barn. There was not much disagreement. We found a pretty place near enough to our house. It was on somewhat higher ground, too, so the rain would run off. Could set one corner right here, Harrison said, jamming down a heel. I ran to get a stick and stuck it in. Then Nettie tapped it down with our axe. Should be 4 square, Harrison said. That's the only way. Father lost his compass, Nettie reminded us. We can line it up proper at night, I said. They looked at me, puzzled. Page 68. It's something Schoolmaster Dortmeester taught me. When night came, after checking Father to see that he was comfortable, I fetched a long rope, the axe, and another stick. Then the three of us went out to the stake. It was a clear night with countless stars, as though a big hand had sowed light instead of wheat. I tied the rope to the stake. We need the North Star, I said. The three of us stood there then, gazing up and around to what we knew was north. Nettie caught it first. There! It was about midpoint between the ground and the top of the sky. Then I moved off from the stake, hauling back on the attached rope, but always keeping it in line with the North Star. When I reached at the end of the line, I laid the rope down. There, I said, as I marked the southern end of the other stick. That's our north-south line. We'll do the rest tomorrow. Next day, we did more of what I had been taught in geometry. I took that rope and tied 12 knots as close to 1 foot apart as I could. Then I fastened the rope to the south stake and drew it out a distance of 4 knots along the north-south line. At that 4th knot, I changed direction, heading somewhat southeast, measuring out a 5-knot length. Holding the rope taut, I stretched it on the ground and bent the final 3-knot piece so it came back to the stake. At the stake then was a perfect right angle for the first corner of the barn. Starting from the stake and using the rope to keep things straight, I marked out 30 feet on the 4-foot side, 20 feet on the 3-foot side. Top of page 70. At the end of each, I put down new stakes. Using those new stakes as starting points, plus the lines I had just drawn, I laid out 2 other triangles. That gave us 3 corners. For the 4th, I extended lines from the 2nd and 3rd and got a decent-sized triangle. Ben, Harrison said, someday you'll be governor of Oregon Territory. By this time, he was all for wanting the barn big, though Nettie, it was no surprise, argued for small. I fetched up with the idea that the rectangle we had already measured might be good enough, and we agreed to that. It was not to be the biggest barn in the territory, but a barn it would be. Excited that we had agreed, I said, we must tell Father. Not me, Nettie said. You be the one to tell him, I said to Harrison. Come with me, he said. Harrison and I went into the house and approached the bed. I saw Father's eyes shift. We marked out the barn, Harrison announced. We stood there waiting for a response. None came. Harrison turned to me. I think he only listens to you, he said, and turned to walk away. I held him back. Leaning over Father, I shouted, "We'll promise you the barn if you promise you'll get better." His eyes moved a little. "Do you have an answer?" I cried. Father's hand stirred. "There," I said to Harrison. "We've made an agreement."